Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. I'm glad you're right here with me. My name is Tyler Herrera, and this is Hardcore Dropout. Look, I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm about to raw dog this episode. I got minimal notes, I got no guest, I got no co host, and I got minimal source material to work with. But what I do have is I have a lot of inspiration and honestly, euphoria because I went to a fantastic show this week. It had The Devil Wears Prada headlining, it had Silent Planet opening up, like Moss to Flames, See You Space Cowboy, and Greyhaven. It was a fucking phenomenal lineup. I'm going to go through that show later in the episode. But first, I think the biggest storyline in heavy music this past week or so has been Knocked Loose playing on Jimmy Kimmel. I have advocated for Knocked Loose and their kind of ascension into heights that we have never seen a hardcore band reach before. I have advocated for that and been a fan of them doing this for a minute now. So I'm going to touch base on that, give my thoughts on it, try and give some context on it, and dive a little deeper on it. So I hope you'll join me for the rest of this episode. But before that, bang your fucking head with me. So a hardcore band playing on Jimmy Kimmel. Knocked Loose blows through any and all expectations that we put on them. They keep rising higher and higher and pushing the boundaries of what a band this heavy can do. And I am 100% here for it. Back in May or June, shortly after You Won't Go Before You're Supposed to came out, I put out a video on Instagram stating that Knocked Loose was the biggest hardcore band we've ever seen. And since then, all they've done is prove me right. I'm not here to be right, but I am here to take note of and provide context and perspective on where heavy music is at, because this is a really special time in heavy music, and this is yet another milestone that we have Knocked Loose to thank for. So let's dive into it a little bit, try and get some context on this. So when I put out that reel a few months ago about Knocked Loose being the biggest hardcore band we've ever seen, here's where my head was at. Here's the, milestones that I was looking at that were supporting my argument. It was that they were charting on all kinds of crazy Billboard charts, like higher than any hardcore band had ever done. They were beating Taylor Swift in some streaming metrics. They were touring with Slipknot. They had just sold out Shrine Auditorium in LA to like 6,500 people. All these things that we just simply hadn't really seen a hardcore band do before or come close to. And yes, I know Hatebreed is the closest we've seen to a hardcore band ever doing this, and that is a totally valid argument. But Knocked Loose has officially surpassed Hatebreed. Hatebreed just opened for them on one of their headlining shows just like a month ago or something. So Hatebreed is already passing the torch to Knocked Loose. And yeah, Hatebreed may have had a bigger impact on hardcore than Knocked Loose, but that's just because they've been doing it longer and they were doing it when there was no real precedent set. So they got to set the first bar, so to speak. Now Knocked Loose is Grammy nominated. They had another sold out headlining tour this past fall, and now they end up on national television. The biggest possible stage in America that you could end up on, they ended up on fucking TV with pig squeals and breakdowns and Poppy screaming. It was like nothing we had ever seen before. And I understand that heavy bands have played on late night TV before. I know Slipknot's done it. Every Time I Die has done it. I mean, Gojira just played at the fucking Olympics. Like, this is not totally new, but what is new is that Knocked Loose is a hardcore band. Sonically, call them whatever you want, but if we're talking about culturally where they fit right into hardcore. They came from the hardcore scene, they have ethics that align with hardcore. They will still play a 200 cap venue and probably enjoy it just as much as they enjoy playing on fucking Jimmy Kimmel. Knocked Loose is a purebred hardcore band and they played on national fucking TV. That is a huge deal and unlike anything we've ever seen before. I really thought that after the Slipknot tour, a Grammy nomination, and their album charting with all these crazy numbers, that maybe this was the arc. This was the peak of this storyline. But now I feel like we're barely on the cusp of it, which is insane because I can't even imagine what's next considering how far they've already come. So all my eggs are in the Knocked Loose basket. I love this band. The dudes seem like phenomenal dudes. Everyone speaks so highly of them, and I think real ones who have contributed to this scene for a long, long time. recognize that Knocked Loose is doing something special. They've wanted this, they've believed in themselves, and they have worked really fucking hard to get here. And they're absolutely just experiencing the fruits of their labor right now, and they are not taking it one bit for granted, and that's special. So now let's talk about the show I went to this weekend. It was fucking awesome. I wanted to go because I wanted to see the Devil Wears Prada, but let's run through the lineup again real quick. It was the Devil Wears Prada, and then opening up, we had Greyhaven, See You Space Cowboy, Like Moths to Flames, and Silent Planet. So this really fucking stacked lineup of mathcore, a little bit of screamo, metalcore, and then modern metalcore with Silent Planet. So a really great lineup. Everything to me was a bonus on top of just being able to see the Devil Wears Prada for the first time. Even knowing that it was going to be a good show, I was still blown the fuck away. So I'm just going to run through some of these notes real quick and just try and provide some insight into what it was like to go to this show specifically in 2024, like almost 20 years since the Devil Wears Prada came out, and they just seem as strong as ever. So first up, I wrote Greyhaven. Mathcore as fuck. Would love to see more of this. So unfortunately, I got there a tiny bit late. I only saw the last two songs of Greyhaven, but they sounded really fucking good. Opening bands did not used to sound like this. It was more common that opening bands would sound like shit, and there was a rumor that, sound guys would make the opening band sound like shit because that makes the headliner sound even better, right? It kind of lowers expectations. Opening bands completely dodged that fucking bullet now. Greyhaven sounded so fucking good. Their guitar player rips, their singer sounds great. It's got a lot of Every Time I Die and Norma Jean vibes, and it's just like peak 2003 mathcore mixed with post-hardcore, like Fear Before the March of Flames, and I'm just so high on that band. I have been for a minute, and Garrett from Silent Planet during their set put it as well as anyone. He said, "This is the most underrated band in heavy music right now." I think I got to agree. Greyhaven fucking rips. So please check them out. Their most recent EP, Stereo Grief, is just fucking flawless. And shout out EPs also. Love a good EP. So then See You Space Cowboy comes on, and I've seen See You Space Cowboy before, but it has been a long time, probably like 5 or 6 years or something. And they've grown a lot as a band. Their audience has grown. And this felt like a really complete performance from them, again solidifying my belief that opening bands just don't sound like shit anymore, which is awesome. One of the first things that stood out to me with See You Space Cowboy is, if you've heard them, they have a lot of influences, but it all comes from pretty much like the 99 to like 2004 range of like original screamo stuff, some emo stuff, and then some mathcore stuff and some early metalcore stuff. All of that gets blended together really well. It's just like this really fucking tasteful throwback done so well. And it's really funny to me that people call them like an emo band. And, you know, they are a mixture of so many different things. And I just think that shows that emo as a term has kind of become this all encompassing term to describe bands who scream and sing and literally sound emotional and maybe sound a little bit like they're on the edge when they're singing about these things. That is part of what defines emo, but emo was a much narrower genre when I was growing up. So when I hear See You Space Cowboy, I hear post-hardcore elements, I hear screamo, like original early screamo, like something like Blood Brothers and stuff even before that. And then I hear mathcore and metalcore. I hear post-hardcore stuff like, Fear Before the March of Flames, and they're just this really cool concoction of all these awesome genres that were really in their infancy in the late 90s and early 2000s. And See You Space Cowboy does it so well. And on top of that, Connie's stage moves go the fuck off. Like, moshing on stage should happen more, but at the same time, maybe it's just because Connie fucking kills it when she's moshing on stage, and it's just so cool. And the crowd noticeably responds to it. They fucking cheer her on, and it's just a really cool experience. Spin kick queen. Fucking phenomenal experience. Shout out See You Space Cowboy. So then like Moss to Flames comes on, and I'm not super familiar with them. They were really kind of at their peak at a time when I wasn't listening to a lot of heavy music, but like Moths to Flames' most recent album was fucking awesome. I really liked it. It was like a very modern version of early 2010s metalcore, just done really well. They got there like an hour before they were supposed to play because they had band troubles. They fucking killed it, and It was really cool to see one of the middle acts get a good crowd response without totally stealing the show, and people just showed up for them and really loved their performance. So then Silent Planet comes on, and look, I'm not super familiar with their material. I always felt like I could be swayed one way or another if I either gave them more time or I saw them live. Let me tell you, their live show was phenomenal. Their tones are fucking massive. They have a ton of cool, like, atmospheric electronic stuff that they're playing live, and you can tell they are just dialed into their sound. But what struck me most as I'm listening to them is, like, I never would have thought bands like Korn and Meshuggah would have so much influence on metalcore, 20 years, 25 years after this genre really started to build its foundation, and just a trip to hear some of these, baritone guitars, these djenty riffs, these really chunky, almost new metal riffs, kind of infiltrate metalcore. But I think Silent Planet is a perfect example of it done well, and now I am a big fan. So shout out Silent Planet. Now let's get to The Devil Wears Prada. My fucking god. I went into the show with hype, but low expectations because Devil Wears Prada is a band I've always liked, but I am not like a Devil Wears Prada fanatic. I have loved pretty much everything they've done, but like I just know that people absolutely fucking love this band and commit a lot of time to them, but I had never seen them. So my expectations were low. I was just hyped to finally see them, and I assumed they would put on a good show, but holy shit, they put on a great fucking show, and the set list was absolutely bonkers. Let me run through this with you real quick. Mammoth, Watchtower, Danger, Wildman, Born to Lose, Salt, Broken, Ritual, Reasons, Noise, Termination, Escape, Reptar, King of the Ozone, Des Moines, Cancer, Chemical, Sacrifice, and then the last two songs for their encore, of course, were Dogs Can Grow Beards All Over and Hey John, What's Your Name Again? So absolutely insane set list. They had ballads, they had pure metalcore shit, they had, kind of risecore shit in there. They had older, newer, middle range stuff, like phenomenal fucking set list. And my fucking god, did they sound good? And is Jeremy DePoister the fucking king of metalcore rock stars? Like, dude can command a crowd like no other. I was fully bought into this experience. But what I walked away thinking was that The Devil Wears Prada is special. They've been doing this for almost 20 years now. They've been pretty relentless. They've consistently put out albums, and they have had a huge influence. And maybe more importantly than that, they have a really big reach, I noticed at this show. So, of course, there are people in like Bad Omen shirts and The Plot in You and like kind of the more like metalcore, butt rock metalcore shit that, is pretty popular right now. But then there's dudes who I see from the Nile out in Mesa where they're going to like tsunami shows, they're going to terror shows, like all the very core shows. Suddenly they're here at the Devil Wears Prada. So to me, when I saw the Devil Wears Prada, I was just like, wow, this is a much bigger band than I realized. And I am fully bought into the entire Devil Wears Prada experience now. I have always liked them, but I officially fucking love them now. Phenomenal band. If you ever get the chance to go see them live, please go do it. So that's all I got today. I told you I was not super prepared. I hope you enjoy it. I have an exciting episode next week coming out. I'm recording that tomorrow with a friend of mine. He is a rapper, and I am going to show him some hardcore, and we're going to just talk about how hardcore has evolved, and I'm going to do my best to explain it to him as the years have gone on. So I hope you'll come back around for that episode. I hope you've enjoyed these episodes. If you follow me on Instagram or you follow me on Threads, say what's up. Also, yeah, I've been very active on Threads. It's been a really good time. It's been a fun way to just engage on a more intimate level because the DMs just get fucking tiring and I honestly can't always keep up with them. But anyways, say what's up. I will do my best to get back to you. Leave a review, leave feedback, subscribe on YouTube. Anything that you deem sufficient to support what I'm doing, I greatly appreciate it. And I will see y'all next week. Peace.